Hi, this is your host Jessie, and welcome to a new episode of Marketing Talks by OSB. From the heart of Beirut, today I have Emmanuelle Sab with me. Hello.
Hello, Jessie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me to this session.
You are most welcome, and I'm sure our new marketers will be excited to hear the golden advices from you, since you have 20 years of experience in the FMCG industry and in different categories, since you are the head of marketing at Henkel Levant, Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, and Qatar. And the categories that you usually cover are related to spirits, food, detergents, and beauty. And for those who don't know Henkel, it's a German multinational chemical and consumer goods company headquartered in Germany and founded in 1876. Of course, some of the brands, they might know them when we say Persil, Der General, Pril, Palette, Purplus. All of those are part of the Henkel portfolio. And for more than 145 years, Henkel has been leading the way to reimagine and improve life every single day for consumers.
Exactly.
I mean, this is amazing. But when we say golden advices to new marketers, are we going to talk about the general advices, right?
Right.
Maybe we start by people.
Exactly.
Yes?
So people is the key. Unfortunately, with our very busy life and huge crisis that we are living in globally and especially in our dear region,
Yeah.
so we tend to forget the importance of people. So every company relies on people, and this is the main success of every company.
So you're talking employees by
yes,
people?
Our
By people, we mean employees.
Our teams, our employees, and in fact, it's the ADN of every company.
Okay.
So I will start with a small advice for our new generation.
Yes.
So in terms of marketing and business specifically.
Yes, of course.
So please don't choose business and marketing just for the sake of I have no other option. You really need to like business and you really need to like marketing. So to like marketing is to create a passion, create a story with brands. You have to like your brands. You have to feel them. You have to really embrace them and create stories for them. So in order to really succeed in marketing and in business, you really need to create a persona for these brands. Really have fun with the brands, create for them characters, a voice, a special voice for them, a tonality, a character. So without this, you will never be able to put the right spirit in your marketing strategy, in your vision, in your action plan. So please focus on this to be able to really succeed in your career.
By the way, we hear this a lot. A lot of fresh graduates, I mean school graduates, when they finish, they say, okay, we're lost, we're hesitating, shall we go here or there? And then
Exactly.
like you said, at the end, they end up doing business because they hear a lot, whatever you do in business, you will end up having a job.
Exactly.
And in Lebanon, you know, we don't have a really big, we don't have
the right initiation.
Yes, maybe the awareness or the guidance for the students. And also, we have limited maybe job offerings.
Opportunities are shrinking, unfortunately, especially now. So
they would say maybe in business we would still find something.
Exactly.
But in marketing, they should, like you said, they should really be into it. And, but how can they know? How can they know?
In fact, very honestly,
do internships?
Yes, exactly. So at Henkel, we take a lot of internships. So it is very important for us to start initiating our students into different departments. And this is where I will move to another thing. For the marketeer, we tend to listen a lot to a sentence. This is not under my scope in terms of marketeer.
Yeah.
So financial, for example, or supply. So to be a successful marketeer, you have to understand every component of your business. So at Henkel, a brand manager is a GM of his brand. So you have to understand from the beginning until the end of the journey of your brand. It starts with your product, understanding every detail of your formula, the details of the components, the raw material. Why do we use this and not this one?
Yes.
What is the difference between our competition? What are the reasons to be of our brands versus competition? And then from the R&D, we move to supply chain. So if you want, the chain of the supply chain is very important to understand in terms of lead time. Now, after the COVID, we have spent, the post-COVID was very harsh globally and for our region.
Yes.
Because we had a lot of increase in the cost of goods,
yes.
of raw material. We had a lot of shortage. So all this affected our portfolio, our choices, our way of proposing formulas different for our consumers. So this also a marketer needs to understand to be able to market his brand differently.
Yes.
Financials. So we are known as Henkel
yes.
to be somehow a financial company. So in fact, at the end of the tunnel, why are we here and why do we sell products? So this is why at Henkel financials are very important too. So a marketeer needs to understand every detail of his P&L. So why this cost of good, why this spend in the trade is affecting us, why this marketing campaign and its ROI is affecting completely differently the year to go of our plan. So this is also very important to understand.
And consumers, I believe also, they should understand who are their users, maybe follow also the trends.
Exactly. This is the core. This is the core of the business. So after you understand exactly the chain of your business, now the main target is to understand your consumer. And by understanding your consumer, you really have to rely on data. Data is very important, especially nowadays. You have access to data everywhere.
Yes.
So whether it is from the trade, from the retail audits, do a lot of analysis based on studies, qualitative. Go on place. Go and check the behavior of the consumer on shelf. This is very, very important to really see what is affecting nowadays our consumer. The Levant region went through a lot of changes during these last three years after COVID, after things have completely changed after the lockdown that we had, yes. The increase in prices. So you see that consumers are seeking something else, a different journey, and you feel the journey in supermarkets and malls is completely different than we used to do versus what we used to have
before. So are you saying we go and we check if they're opening the cap to smell the shampoo, for example?
Exactly. We spend sometimes hours on shelf checking what the consumer is doing.
Are they looking at the ingredients?
Exactly. And we really feel that consumers are not relying on labels anymore. So, for example, for our liquid detergent, for Persil, for example, so it's very important for the liquid category to have the right dosage. And until now, after years of launching the liquid category, we have a lot of consumer who calls us, in fact, because we rely also a lot on our call center. We talk with consumer on daily basis.
Nice.
So, and they ask until now, what is the right dosage? And everything is detailed on the label. So
they don't read.
It is really weird how much you can learn when you spend time watching consumer. Something else too is go do in-home visits. So there are a lot of companies you can outsource or you can have your own team to go and check exactly how do consumers use your product, whether it is in the machines, whether it is on their daily habits. Is it the smell that is important for them, or is it only price? Because if you really categorize your target audience, it is completely different findings.
Okay. Listen, you mentioned earlier that the marketeer should be aware of PLL, the finances, the formula, and everything. Practically speaking, how are they going to know? Do you do, for example, weekly meetings
Yes.
among the
Exactly.
departments,
Exactly.
or reports
monthly.
you share with each other?
No, we have monthly meetings that are very important, that are done specifically between different functions. So you have meetings with the finance team to be able to understand more the outcome of the monthly P&L. We work hand in hand with the sales team to be able to put the right commercial strategy. And this is very important also because, as I told you, we work on the Levant region.
Yes.
And sometimes you have plans that have synergies all over the brands, but it is very important to have really specialized or tailored actions and plans per country. And this is where it is very important to put the right strategy behind it and action plan with the sales team.
To localize it. Exactly. Even if they are geographically next to each other, you still need to take into consideration maybe the culture, economy, right?
Even on social media. So it is very important. Social media is part of a 360 plan that you need to offer to consumer.
Yes.
So either on social media or partnership with influencer, you feel that every country has its own needed content. So sometimes one post, you do it differently in terms of execution, differently per country, depending on really maybe sometimes the woman looks differently. It is really more close to her heart, like the way she puts a veil sometime, or how she dresses, or how she acts with her friends. So it is very important to really understand exactly what are the needs of your consumer.
And among those countries, Lebanon, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, and Qatar, the ones you are the head of marketing for, which one is the most challenging or dynamic, let's say?
Oh, during the past 3 years, each one has his own episode.
Oh.
So in terms of devaluation, Lebanon, no need to mention. We had a lot of devaluation also in Iraq, in Syria. We had a complete change of consumer habits in Jordan. So we felt that suddenly consumers went directly into were very price sensitive. So it was completely a different need, a different, even in terms of sizes, they went into different sizes, they stopped completely some categories. So this also needs to be really followed and understand why they are doing this and propose to them new solutions.
Were you able to detect the reasons?
Yes, exactly. Yes, because this is why it is also important to understand what is happening politically and socially in the country. So they had an increase in taxes, and this really affected them. So every country, when you understand what is really affecting the entire political and social situation, so this is where also you can add to that all the data that you get from all the analysis and the studies that you are doing, and then you really understand your consumer differently.
What is the best department to start with if we want to get into a career, a marketing career?
Exactly.
What is the department that they should start with? Which one do you recommend?
Start with the ground. Go on the ground, go with your salesperson, go with your trade marketing, go with your merchandiser, go check on the ground what is happening. What is the difference between the visibility of your brand and others? What is the category itself? How much does it really impact in supermarkets, for example? Is it really important that much for the consumer? So really understand the ground. Then I would go definitely to R&D to understand really the component and the DNA of your brand.
Yes.
And of course, understand your financials, because it is very important. Talking about financial, unfortunately, we witnessed a complete change in our spending those 3 last years. So after going into really out-of-the-box execution across Levant, and after all what happened post-pandemic, so we went somehow into a more traditional, let's say, way of spending, of communicating with consumer. And this affected a lot exactly how we used to do our marketing strategies. So I think today, to have a more positive notes for the years to come, I think that things are going somehow to a normalization. We feel it in Lebanon, we feel it also in Iraq, in Jordan things are going somehow back on track. So one advice is to really go big when you work on new ideas. Be creative, be out of the box. Don't take a simple execution just for the sake of having a deadline. If you are not convinced, if it doesn't really rely to your brand, it's better not to do anything than to do something that
might hurt the brand.
Is not under your brand identity.
And the ultimate goal for all of those advices, I think, is to reach marketer success.
Yes, of course. So, so in fact, the most important for a marketeer is to really see his brand growing into market shares, into being really the top of mind in consumers' mind, and to be able to do that, you have to put really KPIs for your brand. Think long term, and then short term is not really the right approach to see your brands. So you really need to put your long-term strategy where you want to see your brands in 5 years, how much market share you want to take, in which categories you would like to invest, you would like to enter. Now, today, sustainability is very important, but in fact, are we able to do sustainability in Lebanon? I think that most of the companies are doing the job of, unfortunately, of the government. So this is where you start working on projects and growing them year on year. So it's very important to have clear steps for your brands and clear strategy.
And at Henkel, for example, do you align the strategies across regions or continents or areas, let's say?
In fact, you have...
Or you just 100% localize everything?
No, in fact, you have global relaunches and launches that we take from Germany, in fact. And then we adapt them by, for example, for the Levant region. So you have one marketing plan for the Levant, and then you do adaptation per country. So maybe sometimes the timing is different, maybe the mix of the launch is different. For some countries, sampling is very important. For other, it is the communication and the trade with consumer that is more important than others. In a third, for example, in Qatar, so since it is a 90% market that is mainly in supermarkets, so it is completely different. So it is more a promotion and more an aggressivity in terms of activation with consumer. So this is where you start adapting your national marketing plan into different activities per country.
Listen, how much is it important for the brand really to be popular, especially for those who are buying online, not offline? So, and we saw this during the pandemic, people were buying online only brands they recognize or they knew or they heard of before. So now we know Persil is among the top 3 brands, even Pearl Plus, I guess, Der General as well. So how much is it important for the brand to really have this base and awareness so that people, once they see it online, they will directly choose it and buy it?
You talked about online. I would like to really clarify something, especially in our region. So the online business is really growing very fast.
Especially for grocery shopping as well. So it's
true,
not just
true, but
fashion.
not for all categories.
Oh, really?
So for example, it is really growing for our categories, but the speed is completely different versus other countries.
Okay.
For example, the fastest country within the Levant is Qatar.
Okay.
You feel that for our categories, it is still growing, but it's still very small. from the total business. So I would say it's around 5% from total business across. It is higher for example, beauty, but for laundry, you feel that consumers still, especially in Lebanon, in Jordan, they still want to go to have their journey. It is part of their weekly calendar. I still go do my shopping the big grocery every first of month. So you still have this habit.
Okay.
And I go once a week, take 2 or 3 things that are missing from the big trolley.
Yes.
So there are still some categories that consumers are really attached to have their journey in buying, during buying. So talking about your question.
Online. Because listen, what I mean is if I go to the application of the supermarket itself and I'm buying my vegetables, my fruits, and my detergent, let's say, I might see the brand of Henkel, one of your brands. I will add it to the cart and I will buy it. So what I meant here, how much is it important to have this brand recognition and awareness for your brand so that people, if they are truly buying online, they will add your brand compared to the competition?
The e-commerce is now, and especially for Henkel, a channel on itself. So it is a channel, a sales channel, where we have a marketing plan for e-commerce. So it is same as how we do our business plan for example, per country. We do it also per player, by online player. So you have your annual calendar, you have activities, you have themes. Every player has his own theme. So we also work, it's very, very, very important to secure the right visibility online, to have the right spots, the premium, if you want visibility, to attract more and to have the chance versus other players.
Nice. And now we're getting into a fast era of technology, artificial intelligence. Any other golden advices for new marketers?
Artificial intelligence. So I am a bit, if you want, confused versus this trend, towards this trend.
Yeah.
So a lot of, if you want, findings are gonna help us in terms of doing business, but a lot of constraints are gonna affect negatively, I think, our new generation. So things are becoming very unpersonalized, and nothing will be able to do the job same as a human being does. We will never be able to understand each other the way a human being will understand and enter your brain and analyzes things and vibes that you are giving me to be able to come up with the right answer towards you. I don't know. It's we're gonna see how things are going to be.
But are you using AI at Henkel to do
No.
the research
No.
or the data analysis?
No, and we
Not
had
yet?
a lot of discussion globally.
Ah.
In fact, a lot of, you have different opinions, globally even. In Germany.
So it's an internal debate?
Yes, it is. Until now, it is. Because until now, you have a lot of info that have been proved to be wrong. So when you take info directly from AI and you don't know the source and you don't know if it's reliable, so
you will be
exactly,
let's say, deciding
and
upon...
we checked. We had a lot of examples where it was completely wrong. So this is why I'm telling you it's a big debate until now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in the next chapter, we will be having more info.
Definitely, because we always say we need to have a good decision. You need data, and if you're saying the source of the data is not accurate or credible or up to date, maybe, then it will not help you to take the best decision.
True.
Amazing, Emmanuelle. Thank you so much for all these golden advices.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. I really enjoyed our talk today. And that was our talk of our episode of Marketing Talks today. Thanks for sticking around and see you in the next one.